Isn't this brand new Matchbox delightful? I take more delight in this than is probably reasonable or warranted at all. But this is Manly Monday. The last one ever. Gasp. Gotta light another. That's right. It's Manly Monday. And for better or worse, it may or may not be the last one. I actually have no idea. Who am I to dictate the future of humanity? Who am I? What's up, everybody? My name is Tom, and I am the co-founder and editor of Your Other Brothers. And we are a community navigating faith, homosexuality, and masculinity together. Manly Monday, this has been a monthly tradition for, I was gonna say, like, I've lost track of the months, but honestly it's probably just like 8. It's been a fun monthly tradition. I'm not saying it's over. I hope there's not a lot of doom and gloom in the air right now, because I don't want it to sound like Manly Monday is going away and all joy, all light is going away. But I will say this right at the top: Manly Monday's taking a break. At the very least, Manly Monday's taking a break, and it's going to be a break, a time to reevaluate both my priorities and Your Other Brothers' priorities. It's really exciting because Your Other Brothers is entering a new phase, a new chapter. And my goal as somebody leading this community is, how can we make Your Other Brothers the best, most effective, greatest storytelling community that it can be? And at the crux of that is, where do I put my energies? Where do I put my time and my hours? Whether it's in making these videos, editing these videos. We also have podcasts and blogs. Check out our last State of the Yob if you missed it. It details everything we do in our community on a monthly basis. And so it brings me to today, because I've got a lot to get to, so I'm just gonna get right to it. And it starts with this lovely little photo album that one of our dear Yobbers sent me last year. It was in the aftermath of our retreat. We had an inaugural retreat last year, and I picked it up recently because we're actually planning a second retreat. It's already booked, people are already attending, our amazing supporters on Patreon. If you want to become a Yobber, by the way, patreon.com/yourotherbros. It's the best. It's the greatest group of guys I've ever been a part of. I'm not going to show everybody the album because there's photos of people that probably don't want their faces being put out there, but nonetheless, this is an incredibly well done photo album. I think I shed a tear or two when I looked at it the first time last year. And I was struck by this little quote, or this little, I don't even know what it is. It's just a sentence on the back of this book. It's time for a new adventure. And I'm a firm believer in the power of words and timing and how God uses words. As a word person, I believe God uses words to impact my life and direct my life. And just seeing those words, it's time for a new adventure, it really hit home where I am now, both in my life and in the life of Your Other Brothers. Yikes. You know, as that was happening, the thought was, you know what, don't worry about it. It's going to be edited out. Just don't even react. And then now that it's actually happened, I feel more inclined than ever to leave it in. Pulled me to it, Tom, editing this video. So I actually just got back from a men's retreat at my church. Totally unaffiliated, unrelated to this retreat. And this passage was brought up at the men's retreat, and it hits home because it's from Numbers 13. And I can't remember the last time I pulled open my Bible to the book of Numbers. But here I am doing it twice now in the span of a few days. And in Numbers 13, this is the part of the story where the Israelites have been wandering after leaving Egypt, looking for the promised land, and finally they find it. They sent some spies into the promised land, and this was their report. In Numbers 13:25 it says, "And they returned from spying out of the land after 40 days. Now they departed and came back to Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. Then they told them and said, 'We went to the land where you sent us. It truly flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit.'" And so right away, it's like a dream come true, right? This promised land that you've heard about for generations, it's real. It's real, and it's just as lavish and lush and other elaborate L words, luxurious. It's all of those things and more. Nevertheless, in verse 28, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. And then you go on later in the chapter, it says, but the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they gave the children of Israel a bad report of the land, which they had spied out. And so I think about this a lot when I get into the trap of comparing my vision of something versus what it actually is, what we actually have on our plate and what's before us. And in many ways, Your Other Brothers has been this like paradise land. I know it has for me, and I know I've heard from so many others that finding this community in many cases was a literal godsend. And maybe even in some cases I've heard a literal lifesaver. And that's extremely humbling, that's extremely gratifying, to still be doing this work, 3+ years later, still doing blogs, still doing podcasts, still doing videos, still planning retreats. And the fact that the community that formed on the internet digitally has translated offline into friendships and brotherhood and community that way as well. And even as I plan ahead for our second retreat soon, I have mixed emotions. It's a mixed bag because there's a lot of returning people coming from last year, and that's super exciting. But there's also a lot of people who aren't returning. And for some, it's time, logistics, and finances and other things. It's not a personal thing. But I know for some it is, and for several, they're in a different place now. They're in a different place on their journeys. And there's no other way to say it, but they're not with our community anymore. And that's really hard. It's hard to imagine going back to our same location, with a lot of the same people, but to know that there's gonna be a lot of faces missing. It's not gonna be the same. We have a lot of new people coming, which that's really exciting. It's exciting that new people get to experience Your Other Brothers in the flesh. Not like in the flesh, like worldly, but in the flesh, like I'm a human with 3 dimensions. But just because something doesn't match up to our expectations of paradise or what perfect should look like, what the perfect retreat should look like, or what the perfect community should look like, it shouldn't stop us from going forward. If we believe God has called us to go somewhere, to literally go somewhere, we should go there. Despite our reservations, despite the doubts, despite the giants that inhabit the cities ahead. It's all part of one of our values in our community, courage. It's doing the hard thing. It's trusting God through the process. And like I said, for me, envy and comparison and jealousy and expectations, these are all themes that run the gamut of my life from childhood to today, of constantly having visions of what things should be or certainly could be. And they're just not. And for lack of a better term, we just have to man up and go into the land that we've been called to inhabit. And so I don't know what that looks like for you watching, what's not quite living up to expectations in your life. But I'd encourage you that if you feel that compunction, if you get godly counsel and you read scripture and you pray and you feel God leading you into something despite it not being exactly what you expected or what you think it should be, press into that, because it's an opportunity for God to make himself strong, for him to provide, and for him to do something that you would have otherwise never expected. And so taking it back to where we are now with Manly Monday. Some of you may already know this, some of you may not, but I'm actually moving out. This may be the last video I film here. No, I think I'll do one more State of the Yob. One more State of the Yob here in my illustrious studio. My toilet's right there and my bed is right there. So yeah, really, really elaborate. Basically, I'm moving out. I'm gonna be hitting the road for a couple months. And there's a lot of reasons for that I don't need to get into in this video, but taking a step away from videos for a couple months and possibly, rejiggering my energies toward other things within Yob. Maybe it means doing more podcasts, maybe it means doing more blogs. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what the lineup is gonna look like by the end of the summer. But if y'all want to pray for me, I'd appreciate it as we figure out what the new Yob looks like. We're in the middle of redesigning our website. You may have noticed that. Obviously, we have a retreat being planned right now for our supporters, and so there's a lot going on in the YOBBERS right now. And I've found it to be very necessary to step away and hit the road, clear my head, clear my heart, and who knows, maybe I come back later in the summer and we just get back to rolling with more videos. Same amount, more amount, less amount, I don't know. Point is, we have a great community, and I know that whatever this land we're inhabiting, whatever's next, it's really exciting because God keeps providing really amazing people. I keep meeting amazing readers. Met one of our amazing readers, listeners, viewers just recently on a trip of mine. Yob continues to grow despite all of the reasons for it not to. People walking away, the challenges, the time restrictions and energies required. Yob keeps growing, and so that's not for nothing, and I know that's all God's doing and not mine. So I just want to be the most effective person I can be in this community, and I'm a huge believer in walking away to be able to return and to refocus. That's how I gain a lot of clarity and a lot of confidence, is to be able to have time away, to be able to figure it out. So Manly Monday is going away for now, but I will promise Yob is not going anywhere. And hopefully as in the next few months to come, with a brand new website design and a more established lineup of storytelling content, I think some brighter days are still ahead in this promised land that we inhabit. So, for the last time in a while, I don't want to keep harkening on this, like keep harping on this. Harkening back, harping on. Whether it's the last time or not, I want to remind you to speak meekly, chase madly, and be manly everywhere in between.